Well, I mentioned a couple of days ago that I would try to get an update out to everyone. It's been kind of quiet for the past week or so. I haven't been able to get a video out with any information. So this is, you may not recognize the space behind me. This is my office at home here in Louisville. And as you see, it's empty. We are getting the house ready to sell. And make our permanent move, hopefully, to Southwest Florida. It's not easy. I did a similar video when we moved out of our old house 3 years ago, before we moved here, about where everything started, and sat in the floor at what was then my home office there, and I'm sitting in the floor at what was my home office here. And it's not easy. I could hype things up, put on my happy face, get on here every day, tell you how wonderful things are, how wonderful things are going. And I'm just not a hype beast kind of person, not like some of the YouTubers out there. I'm real. I try to tell it like it is, and it's not easy. It's a lot of work, and on both ends, here in South Florida. You've seen what I've been doing down there, and came home here, back home, everywhere. I think home is Florida now, so I call this back home, just like I call West Virginia back home. And we are, it's tough. It's emotional. It's tough mentally. It's tough physically. My back's been hurting since I made the trip to Florida and loaded the trailer and unloaded the trailer and everything by myself. So a little lower back pain, trying to keep that under control. I've had back problems since I was 14 years old, and I'm 6'5". I'm a big guy, so it's just, my back hasn't hurt for a really long time though, because I've been in the gym pretty regularly for the past 3 or 4 years. So yeah, it's just a matter of time before it relaxes and it'll be fine. But the emotional part of it is tough. We thought this was going to be our forever home 3 years ago when we moved in. As a matter of fact, in about 10 days, it'll be 3 years ago, the day the movers came and moved us in here. And yesterday I got rid of my office furniture here. I gave it away to someone, and they came and picked it up. I had that office furniture for 20 years, so I got my money's worth out of it. And but we sold the baby grand piano that we bought 2.5 years ago. Noah he took piano lessons for like 10 years, maybe more. I can't remember how long it was, but he's a great piano player, and we got that for him. And we had nothing to do with it, as far as we have nowhere to put it. We don't have room in Florida. It would cost too much to move it to Florida. It cost a lot to store those things because they're going to be temperature controlled. So we sold it, and it was emotional for us. It's tough because that was something we really enjoyed, was having that in the house, and when he's here, he plays it, or would play it, and we got to enjoy that. And I'd be lying if I didn't say that was tough and emotional. And so we're clearing things out. We're cleaning, patching nail holes, all those little things. Trying to, I've got a trash pile, I've got a Goodwill pile, a donation pile, and a pile of things that are going to be moved, and prepping all of that. We met with a realtor yesterday. We're hoping to sell it as by owner to avoid the realtor fees, but don't know if that's going to happen yet. We're at a point where the market's starting to change a little bit. We don't think we're going to have too much problem selling our house because of where it's at and what it is, and everything. We have some pretty good advantages, and there's not much for sale around us that's like our home. So we're hopeful that it'll sell pretty quick, and we can get the show on the road, so to speak. So to complicate things, we have a hurricane coming to Southwest Florida, possibly this week. We had a tropical storm earlier in the year, just not long after we were down there. I think it was in April, maybe March or April, and it rained, and it rained a lot. I think we got something like 8 to 10 inches of rain in one day, but that was, it's just a lot of rain. Hurricane storm, they're saying it could strengthen to a Category 4. Our place in Florida is pretty good ways inland, probably about 4, 5, 6 miles as the crow flies from the coast, and I don't think we're in too much danger there as far as damage goes. We have hurricane shutters on our first floor that I'm going to have a friend go over and put them down for me. I don't think I'm not too concerned about that. I'm not too concerned about the business. It's a block building, and it's not in the close. It's a little bit farther actually away from the coast than we are. But, we'd planned to go down this week. We had some friends that were coming to visit, and that's all been scrapped, I think. And we're just going to have to wait a few days and see how things go. Whether I can stay here for a few more days and work on the house, get things ready, or if I have to find a way to get down to Florida to board up broken windows or something. Our second floor doesn't have hurricane shutters, so the risk is, flying debris, 100 mile an hour winds, and something breaks a window and then water gets in. But I think we're going to be okay. We have buildings around us, pretty heavy tree lines around us, things like that. So unless it's a really, really, really bad hurricane, I don't think we're going to have too much problem there. So while I'm here, I'm still working on the business and working on the house. So taking, time to rest, give my back a break, and I'll sit down for a while, work on the computer, work on some of the development things I'm doing. Had a really good call with a software developer on Friday that ironically is in West Virginia. It's kind of funny. I was looking on Upwork.com, which is kind of like a freelancer website for programmers and skilled people, technical people, and had a great call with him. Hoping to be able to do some work with him because I was within the first 5 minutes. I knew he had the skills and knowledge to help me with what I need to accomplish long term, and probably a few minor things short term that I don't have time to work on. There's a few things with the website that, some of the software is like this far from being exactly what I want, and I got to get that tweaked before we can launch and make sure everything's working great. If I don't have time to do that, I might have to have this guy do it, but I'm confident he has exactly the skills I need. So that's a really, really big plus this past week for me as far as the business goes. Still kind of waiting on some things with permits and things to come through with the city of Cape Coral. My landlord has to install a firewall between me and the tenant next door. What happened is, and this is a learning experience, and this is a learning experience for people if you're starting a business and you're going to be leasing a place. And I just didn't think about this. I don't know why I didn't think about it, because I knew these things can be issues, but maybe it was just the excitement of getting started and didn't think about it. But our space that we leased was not zoned for industrial. And because we're taking things out of a box, repackaging it, putting it in another box to ship it to customers, they consider us to be just like Amazon, even though we're this big. So they class us as industrial. The landlord has to install that firewall between the tenants, and it's kind of our fault because we didn't think about that. And I could probably, if I had another place to ship our product out of, I could just use that as office space and run the operation and everything, but we just don't have that yet. And we only signed a 1-year lease. We're going to have to chip in and pay a little bit of that construction cost, but the landlord is a contractor, so they're going to do it at cost and help us out. And really nice people, even though I'm paying to upgrade and improve their property. Like I say, it's kind of my fault. I didn't think about it. On the flip side of that, I feel like the permit folks with municipalities, not just Cape Coral, but other places, I think they try to find every reason they can to create more needs for permits and zoning changes and things. I think it's probably something that I'll probably really appreciate as a business owner later on. Through the process, it's really a pain, but it is what it is. We'll get past it. We'll get it done, and make sure everything's squared away. I could revoke my application, redo it, and tell them I'm just using office space and try to sneak and hide what we're doing. But I don't want to do that. I want to do it right, and I don't want to, within a year we're going to be looking for bigger office space. And if we're in Cape Coral, I don't want someone to say, "You're that guy that was in here a year ago, and then we caught you." I just don't want that. So we're going to get it done and hopefully stay on schedule for launch. This hurricane's going to might throw a little variable in there for us. And we're already trying to figure out some of the personal things of how we get around and that. And, we took my car. I took my car down. And so Tammy's car's here in Louisville. My car's in Florida. So now we only have one car here. And it, just complicates things a little bit with what we're trying to get done. But like everything else, we'll figure it out. Everything will be okay in the end, and we'll be fine. But like I said, I could put on my happy face, come in here, talk about how great everything is, how wonderful everything's moving, and just how happy we are. But it's just not, it's tough. It's tough, and we will get through this. Nothing, I've said for 20 years, over 20 years since I've been a business owner and self-employed. Me and my best friend lives down there in Fort Myers, and he used to be my business partner like 15 years ago. And we work together and talk a lot. And we always have, for more than 20 years, we have come back to the same things. And we've always said, nothing good comes easy.